New Year's resolutions. A time to reflect on your life and make promises to yourself, usually about self-improvement. Maybe you want to hit the gym more, you want to eat healthier, quit smoking, whatever. They've always been presented as this very adult, responsible thing to do, and they should be like a little bit difficult. Even as a kid, I remember making resolutions about exercising more or studying more, and that's not even stuff I feel like I should have been worried about as a kid. Kid resolutions should be like make more friendship bracelets or eat every flavor of Oreo in the store or crank fat 90s in Fortnite. I don't know. Needless to say, I feel like I don't need more reasons to be an adult, and so I don't really love New Year's resolutions, so I don't typically make them. But it was brought to my attention via internet meme that New Year's resolutions can actually be fun, and they don't have to be this very adult, arduous task. Maybe you want to eat 20 new kinds of cheese or ride every bus in your city. Launching into the new year is already kind of hell, so there's no reason we need to make it harder. So at the beginning of 2024, I looked at my Steam library, the ever expansive backlog of games just screaming into the digital void, and I knew what I had to do. It became so clear to me that as an adult, I was looking for any excuse to play more video games, and by God, I was going to take that excuse. At first, I said I was going to play 25 games in 2024, and that felt very achievable to me. Almost too achievable. New Year's resolutions are supposed to be difficult and strenuous, my brain said, reverting back to caveman mode and completely ignoring what I just said about making New Year's resolutions fun. You're right, I said. Let's make it 50. And so the New Year's resolution to play 50 new games was born. My self-established rule set was pretty simple. 1. The 50 new games didn't have to be released in 2024, they just had to be new to me. I am a serial replayer of games. When I like something, I like it a lot and I replay it a lot, so this was an attempt to get through my backlog. So any replayed games in 2024 did not count towards the 50. 2. The definition of game was pretty loose, but I didn't count anything that was a self-proclaimed demo. I did end up playing a few shorter indie games that were under an hour, but to me, that didn't make them any less of a game, so they still counted. And 3, I didn't have to finish the games, but I did have to give all of them an honest go. But before I could begin my journey, there was one thing I knew I had to do to make sure that I could accomplish this monumental feat. The year started out confidently. I was playing things at a leisurely pace, getting through about 4 games before getting entirely too cocky and deciding, heck, I can play Control for a 5th time, just as a treat. This is where the active self-sabotage began. Not only did I play Control again, but I also replayed The Witch's House, which is a fantastic RPG Maker horror game, and I also completed my annual playthrough of Donkey Kong Country. This, combined with a couple of really big life events, landed me in August with only 23 games played. Those of you playing at home can probably do the math here, but I was really behind schedule.
I'm in danger!
In my heart of hearts, did I know this was going to happen? Yes. Unless a deadline is staring me in the face, I have very little motivation to actually do something. So I knew I was gonna get this thing done, but the entire vibe of this fun New Year's resolution thing was completely obliterated by this point. It's wild, and you're never gonna believe this, but it turns out when you make playing video games a chore, it starts to feel like a chore. I know for a fact that in my hurry to finish my goal, I did not thoroughly enjoy some of the games I was playing. I remember somewhere in the middle of this, I just kept thinking, am I having fun? Like, video games are supposed to be fun, right? All this to say that my idealistic goal of a fun, carefree year of playing video games was marred by self-sabotage and adult responsibilities. But hey, you see the title of the video? We did it. Well, I did it. You didn't do anything, but you're here now, so let's talk about video games. So how did I track this information to make sure I met my goal? I ended up creating a really simple spreadsheet to track info like release year, genre, system, completion status, completion date, playtime, my personal rating, and any notes. And because I tracked all of that, here are some fun statistics. My total time playing new games in 2024 was 209 hours, or 8.7 days worth of gaming. On a scale of 1 to 5, my average rating for all the games was 3.7. I completed 31 out of 50 games. I deemed 8 of those as continuous play, so things that didn't really have an end per se. I left 10 of them unfinished, and there was only 1 that beat me because I softlocked it. My most played genre is of no surprise. I had 16 out of the 50 games I played this year being horror. And just for fun, I looked up which game had the earliest release year, which was Blackwell Legacy in 2006. I thought a lot about how I wanted to present 50 games because that's a lot of games to talk about in one video. I could just list my top 10, but then I don't get to mention the other 40 in any capacity. I could also do a 60-second review of each game, but then that's an hour-long video without this whole intro, which already is too long. I'm so sorry. So instead, to showcase all 50 games that I played this year, we've decided to put on the Breezeby Video Game Awards. That's right, kids. An award show where I am the judge, jury, and executioner, and nobody else gets a say. The categories are arbitrary, the awards are rigged, and the only one who cares is me. So without further ado, let's introduce our host, me.
Thanks so much, Brie. It's great to be here. Now, we probably all know I've procrastinated so much that I'm now editing this mere days, maybe hours before the new year. Am I right?
Yeah.
So let's just skip the pleasantries and get right to the awards. Now, I would love to stand here and rattle off all 50 games for you, but I thought it would be more fun to give you some variety. So I've called upon quite a few of my friends to help me host this thing. First, introducing the best mixologist and tree expert in the galaxy, Larix Laricina.
Oh, George and Harold. I love a good story. And tonight, we're kicking things off by acknowledging all of the games that allowed us to live someone else's story. The ones with twists that had us screaming at the screen and characters that almost felt too real. While many of the 50 games Brie played this year count as narrative games, these are the 5 that best fit her narrative when planning for this video. Here are the nominees for Best Narrative. A Mortician's Tale. Who's Lila? Road 96. Dear Esther, Landmark Edition. Corrine Cross's Dead and Breakfast. And the winner is Who's Lila?
To start off, I enjoyed all 5 of these nominees for very different reasons. But for those who caught my Zookosis video, you'll know I was already singing my praises for Who's Lila months ago. This was entirely a unique experience. I have never played anything like this game. A split-screen psychological horror game where outcomes are based around the ways you contort the protagonist's face. There are 15 different endings, and every playthrough unravels more of the story. I don't want to gush about specifics because I don't want to spoil anything, but it had so many different fourth wall breaking moments. If you like games that have you searching random URLs, running programs in the background, and scrolling through social media feeds for clues, you will have a great time with this one.
Now, we all know I love a good story, and what games have better story plus some puzzle solving than point-and-click games? We have Edwin Tiong, who's here to present the best point-and-click game.
You caught me. Caught me in the middle of reading one of my favorite point-and-click manuals. Anyway, speaking of, here's the category for Best Point-and-Click Adventure Game. Let's talk about these point-and-click games where every tap, every click leads you deeper into a deep, dark, digital mystery. Games that can either make you feel like a genius detective or the biggest dunce, nonce, idiot on the planet. Usually the latter in my 30 years of playing adventure games and point-and-click games. You know, how am I supposed to know that if you take a stick and some rope and a banana, you can turn that into a fishing pole and then catch some sewer fish in the sewer where fish apparently how am I supposed to know that? Because I feel like that is entrapment. That one's for the Newgrounds crowd. Anyway, here are the nominees for Best Point-and-Click Game. The Blackwell Legacy. Content. Lunar Axe. Sticky Business. Strangeland. And the winner is... I have to clap very softly so the mic does... The winner is Sticky Business. The winner is Sticky Business.
Okay, so Sticky Business is not technically a point and click in a traditional sense. It's more of a simulator game, but it did kind of help me fit the games I wanted to really talk about into categories. You'll see through the rest of the video. So just bear with me on this one. If we're going traditional point and click, I think Strangeland would have had this. It's a super fun experience. It's very reminiscent of Sanitarium, which is a classic. But Sticky Business was just the most wholesome, joyful, lovely little game that I got to play this year. I did not think a game where you design and sell stickers could make me feel something, but here we are. If you like creative simulator type games or business games with a little bit of story, this is for you. It's got the creativity of making stickers, combined with the satisfaction of printing and packaging and shipping them, combined with the reward of making money and upgrading your shop. It's just the best. If you need a relaxing, brain-off game to play, pick this one up immediately.
Wow, what a category. Here to present our next category are the Druthers Brothers, people I happen to play games with.
Hi everybody, we are the Druthers Brothers, and we are here to present the award for Best Co-op Game. And what is co-op anyway, Matthew?
Well, co-op is kind of like something you do in life.
Yes.
You do it together. Josh?
See, the most important thing in life is to have people in your circle, people that you can trust to get through anything, like a game.
Mm-hmm.
Not only in games, in life. In life, we get through it together. Matthew?
In the bedroom. No. No. Sorry. No, keep going. No. In the bedroom. You have to have a team behind you to root you through difficult challenges.
And then help you get out of the bedroom and into the real world, where you can then continue to play the best co-op games of 2024.
And the nominees are... Content warning.
Escape the back rooms.
Operation Tango.
Helldivers 2.
And Peter Grimm. And the winner is... At the same time...
Escape the back rooms!
Okay, all right. I get it. This one was probably out of left field considering it was up against the likes of Helldivers 2, but if you know my track record with co-op games, I love stuff that is like a little janky where I can get scared with my friends. I played this one through with the Druthers Brothers earlier this year and we had such a blast. It took us a few sessions to get through the whole thing, but I loved hopping into a new level with everyone and just letting chaos unfold. I don't know anything about Backrooms lore and I have no interest in deep diving. I just think this game is a hilarious time if you've got the right people. And as a note, there are a lot of Backrooms games out there. They have different names. I could do a whole video on the myriad of just crazy Backrooms games that are out there. This one, Escape the Backrooms, I can probably put it in the description. This is the one that I think is like the best. It just goes to show, sometimes the best games are the ones where you get to sacrifice your friends to a monster that looks like it was drawn by a second grader.
Escape the Backrooms may not have had us using our whole brain all of the time, but these next nominees are real head scratchers. Please welcome Larix Lyely to introduce our next category.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. I was just taking down some notes. You know, for puzzles. Speaking of puzzles, our next category is one for the sharpest minds out there. Or for those of us who use a walkthrough. Whether it's solving intricate riddles, piecing together complex patterns, or unraveling mysteries, these games have a way of turning every problem into an enjoyable experience. By the way, it still totally counts if you use a walkthrough. Here are the nominees for Best Puzzle Game. Gorogoa, Chants of Sennar, The Last Campfire, The Room, The Room 2, and the winner is Gorogoa!
Gorogoa is an absolutely visually stunning hand-drawn puzzle game. The game was crafted by Jason Roberts and Buried Signal, and players solve puzzles by exploring and manipulating images on a 2x2 grid. Scenes or elements of scenes can be stacked and moved to solve puzzles and progress the story. The narrative follows a young boy on a quest to encounter a divine monster set against the backdrop of a war-torn city that begins to rebuild. There is no guidance and no dialogue. The art, the ambient music, and the player's interpretation of the story all made this a really beautiful experience. I really loved all of the puzzle games that I got to play this year. I feel like most of the puzzle solving I do is in horror games, which is really stressful, so I'm very much looking forward to doing more puzzle, just pure puzzle games in the future.
While we usually can make perfect sense of our puzzle games, some games we play make little to no sense at all. Here to introduce our next category, we have Nicole Goodnight.
One of the best parts about video games is that there's no need to be grounded in reality. Concepts can be as outlandish as the developers wish. I'm not really sure why some of these devs woke up and decided to make a a clicking fetish game or a game where you throw balls at buff men that are stuck in the ceiling, but we're glad that these experiences exist all the same. I think. The following nominees have all landed themselves in the running for Most Ridiculous Game. Click holding. I'm on observation duty 5. Bayonetta. WWE 2K24. A game that saves the muscles caught in the ceiling of the gymnasium. And the winner is Bayonetta.
Alright, so this category was more of a catch-all for some of the more outlandish games that I've played this year. And none of them were bad, by the way, but this was my first experience with the Bayonetta franchise, and I absolutely loved it. I had started playing it on my own off stream, and I got like halfway into the first cutscene, and I was like, no. This has to be a shared experience. I don't think I need to deep dive into this one too much, but even if you're on the fence with these hack and slash games, I think it's still absolutely worth playing for the sheer amount of what is happening factor. As a side note, I almost picked a game that saves the muscles caught in the ceiling of the gymnasium or whatever for the winner of this category. That one came out of left field for me. I had like an unexpected amount of fun. So if you have $1 to spend and you want just a nice brain off game, absolutely go pick that one up.
Now we're about halfway through the show, and it's very clear at this point I've started making things up. Here to introduce the next category is my most trusted advisor, Cartridge Blowers.
Hi, I'm Matt, aka Cartridge Blowers, aka Cardi B, aka your best friend. Bree came to me and she said, Gardy, my man, I need you to tell me about animals. And obviously, she came to the right place. I know a thing or two about animals. 1, skin. 2, mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell. 3, I'm one. You're one, presumably. And there are so many other animals out there. Lions, tigers, bears, Pikachu. All of them exist together in one harmonious kingdom and ecosystem, and we are here to celebrate them today, to bring them together, to tell you which one is best, and also, later on, if we can get the segment... Did we get the segment approved? Yeah, I was going to cook and eat a Pikachu, but we did not get the segment approved. But I can tell you which video game with animals in it is the best one. So let's do that. And the nominees are... Chicken Police, Pal World, Kinito Pet, Zoocosis, and Frog Detective 1, The Haunted Island. And the winner is Zook. Yeah, that's not the fucking winner. That's Chicken Police. Fuck Zoocosis.
Okay, so you know how I said earlier that I was really like shoehorning things into categories so that I could talk about games accurately? Well, here we are. Now, I may be suffering a little bit from recency bias on this one because I liked the fourth wall breaking of Kinito Pet, and I love the silly dialogue in Frog Detective, and Zoocosis was there. But Chicken Police, a little noir-themed point-and-click released by Handy Games in 2020, really stole my heart. I bought it because it looked kind of silly, but I ended up getting entirely invested in the story. And this was the best voice-acted game I've played this year. That alone was enough to keep me clicking through every single dialogue option. The art style is really fun, the gameplay was very much like playing through a mini interactive movie. It was just a great time. If you like point and clicks, you like detective mysteries, you like a little bit of silly animal puns, this one is for you.
Now for a category near and dear to my heart. I didn't play as much horror this year as I wish I had, but I still found some good ones along the way. Here to introduce our best horror category, we have Luna Arcana.
Let us enter a world where fear reigns supreme, where every floorboard creak and twig snap has your heart racing, a place where monsters lurk and certain death looms around every corner. Tonight, we celebrate the titles that have kept us up at night, the ones that turn our quietest moments into pure dread. Here are the nominees for Best Horror Game. Craven Manor, Paranormicide, That Which Gave Chase, Misao, the 2024 HD Remaster, Silent Hill 2 Remake. And the winner is Misao, the 2024 HD Remaster.
Oh, you thought it was going to be Silent Hill 2, huh? Well, don't you feel silly. RPG Maker horror is my favorite subgenre of horror, and it is a crime that there's not an overabundance of these things out there. There are a lot, don't get me wrong, but like I could always play more. They have such a unique charm, and I'm always amazed at the scare potential. Miseo is an RPG Maker survival horror freeware game developed by Sen in May of 2011. The definitive edition released on Steam in 2017, and the HD remaster just released in August of this year. It follows a group of Japanese students who have been sucked into another dimension following the disappearance of one of their classmates, Miseo. It becomes abundantly clear that Miseo was heavily bullied by everyone except the protagonist, and plenty of gory revenge killings ensue. Much like The Witch's House and Corpse Party, these games can be punishing with all the various ways you can die, so save and save often. It even has a section of the game where it tracks all the weird ways you've died, so it's a fun little side quest to go death hunting and find them all. I think Miseo is a real masterclass in how graphical fidelity has nothing to do with scare potential. And if you like these types of games, I also recommend Sen's other game called Mad Father, which I played a few years ago. Listen, Silent Hill 2 Remake was a phenomenal game, but these indies are always going to have my heart.
Not every game we played this year could be good, and we're bringing out a tea tree to help us introduce the worst game of 2024.
Oh, this thing on? Well, now it's time to take a break from the bests, and especially the best of the best. Let's focus on the games that didn't quite live up to expectations. Now, Bree wants me to say something, make some concessions about the inherently divisive nature of opinions, and especially subjective opinions on games. Something about how, like, this literal pile of trash behind me could be somebody's idea of a good time. Well, frankly, I doubt it. Now, it said, if you'd rather play Horror Drift than Baldur's Gate 3, well, nobody's going to stop you. But maybe they should. Anyways, here are the nominees for Worst Game. Haunted House. House Flipper 2. Death in the Water 2. Lunch Lady. And Horror Drift. And the winner is House Flipper 2. That sucks.
All right. I can hear the boos from here. I can hear the angry keyboards typing. Let me explain. While I don't think House Flipper 2 is a poorly made game by a long shot, this was the most disappointing game I played this year. I went into those other nominated games on this list with my expectations on the floor. The glitches, the bugs, the poor gameplay, that was all expected. But the original House Flipper was on such a tall pedestal for me. I have so many blissful hours flipping houses, so when I saw there was a second one, I was over the moon. Surely this means more decor, more furniture options, more things you can do. You can even build a house from scratch now. That's amazing. But I had already gotten so familiar with the UI of the first House Flipper, and this one just added so much. There was just so much, like too much. There was just this new learning curve that I didn't care to engage with, and to be honest, I was probably having a bad night, I was in a bad mood, whatever. That surely affected how I felt about it, but this one was the lowest ranked game on my list this year. I might go back to it another time and give it another go, but for 2024, it tanked for me.
So maybe those are the games we wish we could forget. But we have Jeff and Danielle here from Mom Hat Studios to help us with the games we will always remember.
You probably can't name every single video game you've ever played. Sure, you might remember some of your favorites, but there are some games that are burned into your mind that may have never even come close to touching a top 10 list. This category is for those games. This is for the most memorable game. And Bree definitely did send me a list of games who were nominated, as well as the winner for this category. And I would tell you what those games are if I did not get locked out of my Discord channel for, quote, too much erotic Kermit the Frog art. So instead of being able to read that list, we're going to find that information from an alternate source. Bree likes horror games. We're going to use a tool from that genre to gather the information today to tell you the nominees and the winner of most memorable game. We're going to be using a spirit box. Spirits, tell us, who are the nominees for the most memorable game? I heard Burnhouse Lane.
I definitely heard Burnhouse Lane.
The big lawn?
The big pond.
Oh, clear as day. Once human.
I was gonna say President Truman, but yeah, yours sounds more likely.
Burnt Knee. Is that a game?
Journey, you fool.
Now this one is faint. I can barely make it out, but it sounds like Jam and the Mystery of the Mysteriously Spooky Mansion.
Are you kidding me? And the winner is...
Burnhouse Lane! Thank you, ghosts!
This was a winner that surprised even me, and I picked the winners. On my tracking sheet, half of the other games in this nomination category actually ranked higher than this one, but when I went to go pick a winner, this one by far was the most memorable. Burnhouse Lane released in 2022 and was developed by Feardemic and Harvester Games, the developer responsible for another well-received indie horror game called The Cat Lady. It follows the story of Angie Weather, a dying agency nurse who must complete 5 tasks to win her life back. Probably some of the reason this one is permanently burned into my brain is that it might be one of the most disturbing games I've played this year. The game is a walking trigger warning. People death, animal death, SA, cancer, committing slip and slide, the whole gauntlet. But aside from that, it had a few really interesting mechanics that I have yet to see in a 2D action-adventure game like this. As you progressed, you could collect and utilize these neat little cat powers to get someone to tell the truth or sneak into a tight spot. Most of these opportunities were scripted rather than to be used at the player's discretion, but I found it to be a nice touch. You could also form relationships with different characters and obtain trinkets from them, and those would grant you different perks when you place them on your shelf. Just cool little additions to gameplay that I didn't really consciously care about, but again, it was a nice touch. So with Burnhouse Lane, obviously play at your own discretion, but if you really like horror adventures like this, I suggest you check it out.
So here we are, end of the night for our final award. Let's take a closer look at the nominees for Game of the Year.
Gory Cuddly Carnage. This 2024 release is a hack-and-slash action-adventure game by Angry Demon Studios. You play as Gory, a toy cat looking to save his creator in a world that has been taken over by mutant toys. Cruise around on a sentient skateboard, slicing, slamming, and exploding armies of unicorns. It sounds a little hokey, but it's pleasantly self-aware. It's gory, adorable, and vibrant with a kick-ass soundtrack. Slay the Princess. Entirely hand-drawn with a branching narrative and phenomenal voice acting, this game plays on the age-old trope of saving the princess. Except this time, you're meant to slay her. Death is inevitable and expected, and every dialogue choice matters. An absolutely beautiful and often heartbreaking experience, this one will have you questioning your own morality. Crow Country. A PSX-style survival horror game from the developers of Detective Grimoire, Tangled Tower, and Snipper Clips. Set in the 90s, the game follows Special Agent Mara Forrest, who sets out to investigate an abandoned rural amusement park, Crow Country, a fantastic and nostalgic homage to the horror classics. Mouthwashing. This 2-hour psychological horror experience follows a freighter ship crew of 5 after a mysterious crash leaves them stranded in space as supplies dwindle. The narrative style drags players into instances of the past, present, and future as you slowly piece together the horrifying truth behind both the crash and each crew member's actions. This story will leave you thinking about it long after you close the game. Sorry We're Closed. A nostalgic survival horror game that drags players through heaven and hell. It's about demons, it's about angels, it's about finding love and also destroying it. Ultra stylized, unique, and unapologetically queer, this game has the perfect balance of combat, puzzles, and story.
And the winner for Game of the Year goes to Gory Cuddly Carnage.
I went back and forth on my game of the year probably 1,000 times, but when I thought about an experience this year that brought a lot of joy, very little frustration, and just felt like a quintessential video game, Gory Cuddly Carnage was easily on top. And I waited a long time for this one. I'm already a really big fan of Angry Demon Studios. I think they make great stuff. In fact, my first game review I ever did on this channel was about their game Absoloth End of Gods. You can watch it, I'll put it somewhere here. So when they announced plans for Gory Cuddly Carnage back in 2020, I was super stoked. And it took Angry Demon another 4 years to fully release Gory, and I'm really glad it did because you can tell they took the time to finesse every detail of this game. Movement and combat felt satisfying, the environments were a blast to navigate, the sounds and the visuals were appealing. It was self-aware and it leaned into the comedy of this ridiculous plot, so the dialogue is very fun. It had these lovely little cutscene cartoons to help develop the story. It had an upgrade system where you could buy all sorts of cosmetics with in-game currency, none of that microtransaction BS. It even had a customizable photo mode, and they would run photo contests on their socials, which I love. Just every aspect of this game was so stylized, and there was so much attention to detail, and I'm so happy for Angry Demon. I hope the success of this game was everything they could have wanted and more. I'm not sponsored, but if you haven't had a chance to pick up Gory Cuddly Carnage, it is currently, I think, 35% off until January 2nd for the Steam Winter Sale, so if you want to go pick it up, I think it's like $14 right now, which is crazy value. I may end up doing a deep dive on some of the other nominees. I loved Mouthwashing. I need to play it again and really just like absorb the experience. I know a lot of other people have done deep dives on it, so not sure I need to, but it was really good. I have a playthrough of that on my second channel. I was very close to picking Sorry We're Closed for my game of the year because it is just so, again, I like things that are weird and stylized. That playthrough is also up on my second channel if you would like to go see it. So those were my 50 games this year, but before I go, you may have noticed something in the background. No, not my sweet dog. He is there too, but the blanket that is on the couch right now was a gift from my husband as like a congrats on finishing 50 games this year. And it has every single game I played this year. I feel like you can see Lunch Lady easiest on this one. Like you even got Zookosis on here. Yeah, Who's Lila? You got Mouthwashing, Sticky Business, Road 96, Pilgrim. Ah! From the biggest AAA games to the littlest indie games I played this year, they're all memorialized now in thread on this cool ass blanket. It seems very silly, but this was a very sweet way to commemorate something I'm pretty proud of. I know I didn't finish every single game, but like I played 50 new games this year, and to me that was a big deal. I think if I learned anything, it's that like, just play the things you want to play. Like play new things because there are a lot of new games out there that are really good, but like, don't make video games a chore for yourself. If you've made it this far in what I imagine is a very long video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and a huge thank you to everybody who helped me film this. I have all of the wonderful presenters and hosts down in the description. Please check them out. They are all good friends of mine, and I love them all more than anything. I'm so happy they wanted to participate in something stupid like this. And thank you. I appreciate you sticking around. I can't wait to see what we make in 2025 together. And I will see you in the new year. Goodbye!